As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons, especially Billy Allery, a new patron. Thank you guys so much. You make this possible. Hello everybody, and happy second month of the year to you. This is my February TBR, to be read, hope to read, optimistic thought. But I will say, I've had an incredible year of reading so far in 2021. See my January wrap-up where I have read upwards of 10 books. As I record this, January is not over with, and I'm hoping to finish up maybe 2 more books before the end, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited to get to the next month of reading, so I've been reading some great stuff, and I'm getting back into the realm of the Elderlings, so that's a little hint there for what's going to be on this TBR. But let's go forward and first make an announcement. I'm adding to a benefit to my Patreon account. If you guys don't know, I started a Patreon. It's a way that you can support the channel financially, as well as get some cool bonus content with me. Right now, I do all of my reading vlogs are up there, as well as some of my creative writing projects. My first short story actually is going to drop, I think, today as I release this video. It's a short story in a series of short stories for me to build a world where I'll eventually, hopefully, write a longer, epic, high fantasy series. But we'll see. That's all in the future. Check that out on my Patreon. I also do live reading sprints every once in a while, outtakes, a bunch of stuff. Go check it out there. The exciting announcement is that I'm adding to that Patreon a Patreon-specific read-along every month. So I was hesitant to do this because I was nervous about, I read a lot of series, and so with read-alongs, you generally want to do standalones, but I have come to believe that there is enough books in this world where I can do this. Last month, we did sort of on my Discord a whole reader of Once and Future King, which I thought was really fun and really enjoyed it, so I'm just going to slide that over to the Patreon side of things this month, and the first Patreon read-along will be my first ever Neil Gaiman experience with The Ocean at the End of the Lane. This is a relatively short, little almost novella, but it'll be my first interaction with this very well-known, very respected, very loved author. So if you want to read this with me, get a lot more of my thoughts, be a patron, and I'll be posting all of my thoughts over on my Discord patron channel. And I'll probably put a review up on YouTube eventually because I know a lot of people want to know what I think about this author. So I'm excited to get going on this. And like I said, it's going to be a nice quick read. Next up, a new series I'm starting that is part of a larger series that I have loved so far, Robin Hobb's Fool's Errand, which is the first book in the Fitz and the Fool quartet. I think there's 4 of them. Checking. Just kidding. Sometimes I get them mixed up. This is the Tawny Man trilogy, and this is book 1. This is the next in the realm of the Elderlings after Farseer and after Live Ship Traders. Really excited to get back in this, especially back to the character of Fitz, and of course the character of the Fool, especially with all the knowledge that I've gained from those previous 2 trilogies. Very, very excited to get back into this. I love Robin Hobb. Her writing is amazing. I have heard that even more so than the other 2, this is really going to be an emotional read, and I am nervous but excited.
I was nervous but excited, so I started singing a song called Nervous but Excited. People just stared at me. There was 0 choreography, 0!
Next up, continuing with one of my happiest finds of 2020, and that is the Anne of Green Gables series. I am now on book 4, which is Anne of Windy Poplars. Boy, that's hard to say when I'm really thinking about Anne of Windy Poplars. I just finished Anne of the Island last week. This series is just delightful. Full of great stories, smile, laugh out loud, incredibly touching, devastating stories. I'm just so excited to get into this story in this world again. L.M. Montgomery is an amazing author and so inspiring to read. So many nuggets of wisdom. I am just, through the moon. I'm very, very excited about Anne of Windy Poplars and to get further down into this series. I've now reached the point with Anne of the Island that of anything that I knew, like I know certain things happen in the story because of my sisters have read this, my wife has read this, I watched the BBC movie. So I knew most of what happened in the first 3 books that I've already read, and that's it. So going through this is going to be a lot of unknowns as I read these books, and I'm very excited to do it. So this is definitely going to be on my exciting list in February. I'll definitely read it. And again, I want to encourage everyone out there, you should read Anne of Green Gables. Next up, January, I kind of took a brief break. I guess I did read one book, but for the most part, I read Summer Night in January of Dresden Files. But for the most part, I didn't get much into these, and these are short, quick reads, and so I'm going to jump back into them in February, and read at least 2 of them. So the next 2 is the 5th book, which is Death Masks. There we go, Death Masks, which I don't have a physical copy of, but I did pick up Blood Rights on my last run to a thrift store. That is book 6. Yeah, book 6. I really liked Summer Night. It finally sort of helped me understand why people love this series so much. I've heard nothing else but good things from these next 2 books, so I am excited to get going and keep going with my Dresden Files experience. Maybe I'll read 3 if I get on a kick, who knows. Speaking of getting on a kick, in January, I definitely got into a Expanse kick reading James S.A. Corey's fantastic series. I made a whole video up above about the 3 books that I read in January in that series, and in fact, probably I'm going to finish a 4th book in that in January, which is Nemesis Games. I'm currently reading as I record this, and I think I'll be done with it by the time I post this video. They're just so much fun. I love the characters. I love the camaraderie, the found family element, as well as the sci-fi world and politicking. The prose are so readable, and yet they're not like elementary, like they are very insightful at times. I love the way that these authors describe things. Anyway, I really love The Expanse, and I am sure that I'm going to read another 1, maybe 2 in February as well. There's a total of 8 of them that are currently out, and the 9th one's going to come later this year. So I had initially thought that I was going to kind of slowly build up to the 9th one, but I've just gotten caught in this series. It's just that good. Let me look up what the other ones are called. Babylon's Ashes and Persepolis Rising are the next 2 books in the series, so if I get to those will be what I read. I don't think I can stay away from this series very long, so I will definitely be reading those. I was supposed to read this in February, but I just got a little behind, so I need to read the 3rd book in the Black Company, the first series of the Black Company. I think Books of the South is what the first one is called, or maybe just Chronicles of the Black Company. It's right here on the book. Chronicles of the Black Company, the 3rd one is White Rose. I really want to jump back into that and see the conclusion of this first overarching story for sure. So this fell out for a little while, but I'm definitely going to jump back in and finish at least this first series and maybe go on in Black Company. I haven't really decided. I'll probably wait a little bit one way or the other, but definitely going to be reading that book. In January, I also started reading through the E.N.C. Esselmont books with my Knight of Knives read through. You can check out my review above. It's so far is my least favorite Malazan book. It was fine. It was nothing negative, and in fact, there's some really cool parts in world building, but overall, definitely not as good as the main series. Return of the Crimson Guard, I have heard similar things about. The only problem is it's about twice as long as Knight of Knives. So I'm a little bit apprehensive about reading this, but I do want to read it and continue to build out the world of Malazan, especially because I want to get to the next couple of books that Esselmont has written, because I've heard praise for those latter books and that he really finds his stride. So I'm definitely willing to get through this book and sort of, I think because my expectations are so low, I'm imagining that I'll be fine reading it, but I'm definitely going to start reading this in February and hopefully finish. Again, it kind of depends on some other things that I need to read, and that includes the biggest book of the month, and that is this honker, the Iliad, by Homer, obviously the classic epic poem. Now, I do need to confess something. So this is the read for my read through 2021 of the Year of Short Classics. I know you're thinking, short, Andy, you're crazy. And you're absolutely right. When I was putting together the Year of Short Classics, I was envisioning an old Iliad that I had when I was in school that was an abridged copy of the Iliad. And so it cut out a lot of stuff. And so it was about 200 pages long. So I was envisioning that when I thought of the Iliad and not of this huge work. But a couple things in my defense. First off, this is epic poetry. So it's not completely full of text, and this is pretty big font in this Fagel's edition, Fagel's translation and in this edition, which I think is the most easily accessible at the moment if you bought it new. And so I don't think this is going to be as bad as it looks. Also, poetry is very easy to read very quickly and in the midst of other things. For example, I read Beowulf in January for my year of short classics. This is about 200 pages, and I read it in like, I think 2 to 3 days, and that's while I was reading another Witcher book. So I don't think this is going to be so hard to get through, but that said, I should get to the announcements first. So if you're not aware, the Year of Short Classics, every month I'm picking a classic that is of the shorter variety and reading through it with a guest co-host. This month it is Alan over at the Library of Alexandria. He is a classics teacher, loves the Iliad and the Odyssey, and is very passionate about it, so he's going to be a great guest. We are going to host a live show on my channel at the end of the month in February to talk about the Iliad. And here's another good thing. Alan has recommended abridged versions of reading through this if you don't want to tackle the full book itself. There's a lot of chapters that go over names and go very in depth of fighting that aren't necessary to the overall narrative. That's why there are a lot of people who have made abridged copies. And so even if you have this version that is much longer, it gives lists of the books that you should read and which ones you should skip. So I'll have all that information in the description below, and of course we will talk about it a lot on my Discord channel where we'll be talking about this all, and of course there's also an invite to my Discord server down below in the description, as there always is. So a lot of ways to follow along with this read-through. It's not just for patrons like the Game and read-through. This is for everybody. So pick up the Iliad, read through it with us. My goal is I'm not going to read this like I would other books where I just focus on this. I'm going to read this while I'm reading other books. I like to do what I call Spider-Man reading, where I swing to one book, read a chapter or two, and then I'm starting to get tired, I swing to another book. And that really helps me read a lot more and be able to sit more in like single sessions because I'm getting differences. So that's what the Iliad will be, probably all February, or at least half of February, my secondary Spider-Man book while I'm reading some of my other stuff. And after I finish this, because I'm doing Epic Greek poetry, I didn't want to miss out on going back and rereading the Odyssey. I read this when I was in I think middle school, or parts of it. I think it was a abridged version again. And so now as an adult and coming off of the Iliad, I want to read this sort of more chronologically where it's supposed to be. Obviously, this is the return of Odysseus from the battle at Troy and the surrounding conflict with the Trojans. I want to read this as well, so this will also be sort of my secondary slingshot book. And also, hopefully, I'll finish in February. I know I have a big TBR. Sue me. Speaking of big TBR, I also have one more big thing to add to my February TBR, and that is going to be the Witcher series. At the moment, again, while I'm recording this, I have Blood of Elves that I'm currently reading through. I anticipate that I'll finish that in January. I'm recording this on like January 25th or something like that. I'll probably finish it before January. You'll know for sure if I talked about it on my wrap-up or not. But I'm going to read the next couple books in the Witcher series as well in February, because I just love those books. They continue to, in my estimation, be really, really good, and I'm excited to see where those go. So I can't set those aside. So very excited about picking those up and hopefully finishing the series probably in March, I'd imagine. I'm probably not going to be able to do it in February with all this other stuff, but that's my TBR in February. I don't think I forgot anything. If I did, let me know. Again, reminder, join the Patreon if you want to. Well, I would just so be thankful to anyone to join the Patreon, but also so you can be a part of that Neil Gaiman read along. I also want to recommend that you get involved in our Year of Short Classics. Go follow Alan, follow me, join the Discord, blah, blah, all that stuff. Anyway, let's get a little long, so I'll just say, as always, first in, last out.